So, have you ever felt like you have lost touch with what excites you? Like you're not interested in anything, life is boring, you can't be bothered, you want to kick some stones, don't do it because you'll hurt your feet. But here's the thing, sometimes we get caught up in responsibilities and routines and survival mode, and everything feels like, it's you're like on some kind of treadmill and you can't get off and you're holding on for dear life and nothing is changing. So when all of this happens, we forget to connect with what makes us feel alive. And I do know that it's really hard to get off your bum and get out there and do something. So I'm just going to give you some little bits and pieces, stuff that you can try. Now, often when someone is talking about connecting you back into your purpose and your passion and stuff like that, they always actually invite you to look at your past self. Well, I'm going to do that same thing because I think sometimes we forget those little things that when we were kids really, really excited us. Now, when I sit and this is not like an academic thing where we need to go back and really work out what happened in the past. I'm just going to invite you to daydream. So feet firmly planted on the floor, memo to self, and cross my feet. I do it all the time. Very naughty. And just notice your body and do a quick, just scan through your body. Let it all go. Just give it a shake. Stand up. Give yourself a little bit of a boogie. Let it all go. Okay. So I just want to invite you to let your mind wander. Don't judge. Don't let your ego get in the way. Ego in the way, give it a flick. Tell it to get lost. And notice what comes up. You might see images, you might get a sense of you playing. You'll see something. Now, as I'm talking, I can see myself. I used to live in Germany. My father was in the RAF. And next to our block of flats was a big piece of green. And I can see myself in a midi skirt. So that dates me, midi. Um, and I've drawn out a castle. And I am going from room to room and I'm telling stories. Yeah. And I know that that connects to this creative person that I am because I am always inventing new things. Now, currently, it's always non-fiction books, but I've got a series of fiction book outlines where I've written about 20,000 words just to get things started. And I'm not ready to tackle them. But when I look back and I think about the things that I like to do, it's always, it's my imagination goes wild and then I create things. And my mum tells me that, I'd wander off in my wellies into the woods. And I know that when I'm in the woods, what am I doing? I'm creating, I'm playing out stories and building things. So what did you love to do? I mean, it's this, if we daydream and we go back, and you might feel a little bit embarrassed, like, oh no, I was that wild, mad child that, did whatever. There's something in that. There's something in that. Something else that's just popped into my mind. I remember finding an empty theatre. I can't even think where it was. And I know I can't sing, but I can see myself on the stage presenting and doing stuff. And I've done that, been on lots of stages. Give me a microphone and I could talk for, well, you can already tell that. I could talk for whatever. So there's always been that storytelling, that entertaining people with stories and being creative. So just let those little sparks come back. Yeah. So writing has always been my anchor. It helps me navigate life, my health, anything that is going on. Writing is my thing. I create solutions through writing. So if you've got your journal handy or a bit of paper, write down what is one thing I used to love doing that I have lost touch with? What is one thing that I used to love doing I have lost touch with? I've also got a funny image. My mum told me I do sew, but she said I would get worms, and I think she called them tomato boxes, and I would feed the worm through my mouth and through the tomato box. Don't know what, I have no idea what that is, but I'm obviously sewing something. As long as I didn't eat the worm, I think we're okay. But just let those memories come back. Yeah. It's all in our imagination. It has never, ever gone away. Now, the next thing is about paying attention to the small sparks. Now, one of the things I do is if I want to do something, I say to Spirit, send me a picture. So normally if it's about writing a book, I might log on to Facebook, or I might see a truck with a penguin on the side because of penguin books. And if it's time for me to birth something new, it'll be a snake. And that can sometimes manifest as a snake in the Rambler. So the Rambler is a dried riverbed where I walk my dogs, and they're harmless snakes, but sometimes they're pretty big. So pay attention to stuff that shows up, signs and symbols, but pay attention to the small sparks. So we're not waiting for like a big bang and a massive firework display. There'll be a tiny flicker and you'll be thinking, that's interesting. I'm curious. So, notice those little sparks and think about, when they happen, where do they take you? Do you find yourself researching, watching, talking about it? All of those little signs and symbols and sparks, they're all clues to what excites us. Now, we live really, really busy lives, and we forget to stop being busy and just be in the moment, be in the space. I am as guilty as the next person. So what I often find is the small sparks, the inspiration comes when I'm doing something else. So for example, today I'm going to do something very exciting. I'm going to weed the street. So our town council is supposed to come round and do it, and they don't. So I'm going to go and do it. So I'll start with the front of my house, and then I'll move further up the street and clear all the whatever away. But while I am methodically pulling out weeds, putting them in a bag, sweeping stuff up, this is starting to show me small sparks, because I am doing something else that has taken me out of my head and things I have to do and stuff like that. So do something that takes you out of your head, out of your normal everyday stuff, and allow the little sparks to come. So journal prompt. What topics, activities, or experiences do I feel drawn to, even if I haven't followed those little breadcrumbs just yet? Don't let them go. Write them down somewhere. And the next thing is I would invite you to experiment with a passion project. I think one of the best ways to connect you with something that excites you without any pressure is a passion project. Mine are always writing. Right. That's all, for me. I talk about my passion projects as things that help me to learn and grow and transform. So if I need to know something, then I will write a book, or I'll write what I call a transformational journal. So I'll research it. and I will actually do the activities as I'm writing it. And then I've got a resource to use when I'm coaching or teaching or something like that. So with a passion project, it gives you permission to explore without needing an outcome. Now, let's say, for example, that not necessarily about writing, but let's say you find yourself feeling curious about crystals. Now, many, many, many years ago, I became very curious about crystals. So I did a 2-year crystal therapy course. And I absolutely loved learning everything about energy systems, all kinds of different modalities. I still have all these years later, lots and lots of crystals. And I love playing with them and experimenting with them, but I don't want to be a crystal therapist. I did the same thing with nutrition. I started learning about nutrition in my 20s. I've done several big courses, but I've used them to heal for me. But they were all passion projects. I thought, "Do you know what? I'm kind of really interested in that." And then I'll go and do it. So in terms of my coaching and the programs that I use, my way of helping people to find purpose in their life is to experiment with passion project. So my question is if you could start one passion project for fun, what might it be? So if any of this has got you thinking, take a look down below. I have lots of little free ebooks that you can tap into and journal around and help you to explore things. Obviously, I have coaching and different programs. And if there's something that you think, I'd really like to experiment and explore that, connect with me. Let's see where we can take it. So if any of this has started exciting you, then, drop me a comment, subscribe, follow me, and let's start exploring things together. Honestly, experiment with something little, follow those sparks. Look at the stuff in your past and you will find something that will inspire you today.